So I'm currently planning to cosplay Okada Izo from Fate for my next convention. And in order to prove that I'm not a tourist, I'm making this video. So please enjoy. Okada Izo was a Japanese samurai of the late Edo period, and he was known as one of the 4 most notable assassins of the Bakumatsu period. They were called the 4 Hitokiri of the Bakumatsu. They were typically politically motivated killers whose targets were usually that of the Tokugawa shogunate. Okada Izo was friends with Ryoma Sakamoto until Ryoma betrayed them by leaving their clan. During the time period, this was considered a crime. In 1865, he would be captured, tortured, and then killed. In Fate, he has appeared in several different series, but he's always been kind of a jobber. So for the current video, I will be talking about his appearances in Fate Koha Ace, FGO, and Fate Redline. Fate Koha Ace was a manga that released in 2015. It was written and illustrated by Kei Kenshi, who is known for the Koha Ace series. This Holy Grail War takes place in Imperial Japan during World War II. He is summoned by Major Rider. He first appears in Chapter 3 and introduces himself as Sakamoto Ryoma, a saber, and takes Akiha hostage. He then engages in combat with Sakura Saber, also known as Okita Soji. He showcases his various sword techniques, but is then told to retreat by his master. He then shows up in Chapter 6 and attempts to third-party Okita, but is blocked by Sakamoto Ryoma, the actual one. He calls Ryoma a traitor and then is given a bit of an introduction. He's a Hitokiri who can copy any sword technique. He has saber-level skills, but is given the assassin class. He is then told to retreat by his master. The next time he shows up, he takes Lancer's master hostage when Lancer attempts to kill fake Hitler. He then disarms Lancer, but then gets sneak attacked because Lancer doesn't actually need a spear. At the end of the chapter, there's a note that states that Izo is pretty strong, but just hasn't had a good matchup yet. Anyways, that's the last we see of Izo in this Holy Grail War. For Fate Grand Order, I will only be talking about the legend of the Imperial Capital Grail. I know he has shown up in more recent events, but I don't want to talk about those. So this is the third Guda Guda story. The Master of Chaldea gets sent into a singularity that takes place in the year 1945, Japan. There are a bunch of shenanigans that occur, but the main thing is that Okada Izo makes his FGO debut here. He first shows up dealing with a rogue servant, and just like in Koha Ace, he attempts to kill the protagonist. The Master of Chaldea survives long enough for Sakamoto Ryoma to intervene. Here he airs his grievances at Ryoma. He's extremely upset because he thinks that Ryoma led to his death and took credit for being a hero. Ryoma lets him strike him and takes the hit. This surprises Izo, who no longer feels like killing him and starts acting like a tsundere. The Master of Chaldea travels together with Izo in a temporary alliance, and they run into Lee Shuwen. Okada Izo is extremely arrogant in his fight against Lee and loses the fight. Okada Alter and the Master of Chaldea defeat him, and Izo gets a lesson about humility. Izo separates from the group, but later rejoins to take on Caster. He's probably also a bit stronger here since he shows up in a different ascension. He then stalls out against a bunch of people with Ryoma as Master and Okita Alter take on Caster. He then sneaks Caster when Caster is in the middle of his speech and joins the rest in the fight. In the end, he gets sent back to the throne since he's not actually part of Chaldea. In his FGO Valentine's event, he takes Master out to drink. The Master of Chaldea is underage, so he only has juice, while Izo has alcohol. Izo then proceeds to talk about past events, drinks too much, and then falls asleep. In the state, he asks why Ryoma left him behind and why Takeshi gave him the cold shoulder. He then proceeds to throw up and apologizes to the Master. Overall, it's a very nice Valentine's event. Fate Redline started in 2019, and it's a remake of the Koha Ace story. The main difference is that the main character in Fate Redline is a time traveler. Anyways, in this story, Okada Izo first shows up in Chapter 3 while taking Tsukumo hostage and introducing himself as Sakamoto Ryoma. He then gets sneak attacked by modern technology as he sees a phone flying. He fails to keep Tsukumo hostage and then injures and gets injured by Okita Soji. He gets flustered by her and starts losing the fight. He then asks for a command spell so he could properly fight Okita. He is then forced to retreat by his master. Izo's next main appearance is when he sneaks attacks Saber. Again. He copies her technique to stab her and was going to defeat her until the main character Kanata saves her using his magecraft. Kanata heals Saber and boosts her in the fight to deal a heavy wound on Izo. Saber then has a tuberculosis episode and Izo moves on to kill her. Kanata takes the hit for her. Okita and Izo keep fighting for a bit, but Oryu comes and ends the fight. and that's where Redline is currently at. I believe Okada Izo has the best showing in Kohai Ace and the worst showcase in The Legend of the Imperial Capital Grail. This is mostly because he doesn't have that many showcases in Fate Redline. In FGO, he fails to defeat Okita Alter and lets her escape. He also fails to perform well against Lancer. Although I think Fate Redline will probably be the worst once its adaptation is fully done. Personality-wise, he's extremely prideful of his own abilities and looks down on others because of it. But the issue is he's actually talented and pretty good. He hates being looked down on and doesn't like using his head. He has a rough and hasty personality. He tends to obey people blindly and loyally. If you become close with him, he's a pretty nice guy. He's also extremely fond of sake and gambling. Anyways, that's my short rundown of Okada Izo and his appearances in Fate. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.